computer. This will be added to the course after. So if you want to review the questions, review anything, it'll be there in the course as an added lecture. So before we get started with the actual Q&A, which I hope you brought questions for me, I would like to give you a 5-10 minute run through of that Google document that we have with all the sequences and everything, because I know there's a lot of information there, and I just want to make sure that you're using it to the best of, the best of the best. I don't know the best of what, but the best of its potential. That's what I'm looking for. So let me share my desktop here. I just switched to a MacBook, so I am still getting used to the Mac system. So don't mind me if I look a little bit like challenged in terms of internet or computer capabilities, because I am. So don't let that fool you. It's true. I don't know what I'm doing on my Mac. So first things first, I do say, and if you want to follow with me here, follow with me. If you want to open your own copy, open your own copy. I do say make a copy of this document, but if I update it, I will send out an announcement by email saying, team, by the way, the document has been updated. So just make sure that you have the most up-to-date version. But I always recommend keep your copy safe with you, just in case, I don't know, something happens. You never know. So a quick reminder here, as we start, always start with the basics, right? We'll start with the basics. Oh, welcome to the Mac family. Yeah, trying my best. So as we start on this spreadsheet, you're going to see there's basics, everyday stories, leadership sequences, sales sequences, global. And then because my account is a service account, but I know that some of those sequences are not easily transferable to products, I decided to kind of also create a few sales sequences for products as well. I manage 2 different product accounts, and I coach lots more people in the product world. So I know these sequences are good. So let's get started then with the basics. So just a quick reminder that when you are selling something, people don't buy what you're actually selling, right? So I could have said that on the Selling on Instagram stories, when you joined, you'd be getting 3 different master classes, you'd be getting this document, you'd be getting, a bunch of stuff. And I do say that kind of stuff, but it always goes more towards the end of the conversation, right? And more so when I'm talking about bonuses, more so when I'm talking about things. But what is my initial messaging? My initial messaging is that in 15 minutes a day, you're going to be able to post stories that fit in your life, fit in your routine, that are going to be coming to you with ease and helping you sell, build engagement, and build leadership with your stories. So that is the starting point. It's what your audience wants their reality to look like after, not the details of your offer. Details are important, but the reality that they're buying is always what they're buying. So keep that in mind when you're creating your story sequences or even your posts. How are you going to showcase that reality after? Is it by talking about, making them feel that reality, like imagining it? So imagine how good it would feel. Have you ever thought, can you think about waking up and not having to worry about this? Or, bringing that storytelling into your content. But also don't forget about leading by example. So leading by example and showing you living the reality that you are talking about. Because it's one thing we teach something and show something, but it's another thing that we're actually living by the examples that we teach, right? And incorporating those things in our life, in our routine. That is where the magic happens, because you're living and breathing what you sell. Doesn't matter if it's products or services. Just don't forget, guys, to mute your microphones, please, because I can't mute you today. My assistant, unfortunately, she's not feeling great, so I'm on my own today. So here in the basics, we have a few things for you to do. So when your story views are low, some ideas of what to do. When you are doing talking stories, I always recommend doing a mix of stories. So from kind of like videos and pictures, kind of blending everything, maybe some boomerangs, maybe some videos of something that's happening in the background, not just you. But when you're doing talking videos, don't just create a bunch of talking videos all at once, right? That really puts people off. 3 is a good number if if you're really explaining something that's really important. Then there's one little secret for talking stories that I really need to tell you. And I put it here. I did not put it in the course on that time, but I really wanted to put it on the sheet, that instead of adding captions to your talking videos, those auto captions that everybody loves so much, summarize what you just talked about and write it down. And I know this is going to take you an extra 5 seconds, but I guarantee you that people are going to have a much bigger chance of watching it until the end, or at least getting the concept of what you're talking about. Because people, if they don't have time or to wait until you say everything, they're not going to have time to see what your captions are saying until the end. Why summarize it instead of typing out the words I said? Okay, you can type out all the words you say, but if you're like me and sometimes you lingered on a specific point, or you talked too much about something and it really isn't relevant to the overall message, you don't need to type out everything. In the end, it's just going to make your life a little bit easier because you're just typing less. But if you want to type word by word, that's totally fine as well. So yeah, I just like to summarize it for people that are watching instead of using the auto captions, just for the sake of, if they don't have time to listen to me talking, they won't have time to watch my auto captions appearing word by word, just super annoying. And what else? Yeah, and then just here, I put all the names of the stickers here, just in case you're not sure when I call them out. Cool. So that is our very, very basics. And then we go on to everyday stories. And I just want to make sure that here you are taking a look at the goals of your story. So it's not about having more ideas. I didn't want to fill this up with a bunch of random ideas. I just want to show you how repetition can be a good thing in your life. So starting the day, sometimes showing the same consistent parts of your routine is actually very good, because it's putting in people's minds that it's attaching a meaning to your brand. It's attaching a meaning to what you do. So it's not just the fact that I start my day learning. It's the fact that I am constantly learning. It's not the fact that I go to the gym. It's the fact that I'm disciplined to go to the gym. I don't wait for motivation. I'm there. I'm fighting for my goals, right? So be used to having that routine in your life. You don't have to repeat it every single day, obviously, but there's no need for extra ideas all the time. So just make sure that take a look at these, but from the goals first. Goals always come first. So do you want more engagement? Maybe you're just before a launch and you really want to build up that engagement so that people are watching when you launch something. Do you want to build leadership because your account is growing? There's a lot of followers that don't know you. Okay, maybe that's the case for some people. Or do you want to, are you in a launch and are you doing some like FOMO content, like fear of missing out? So maybe you're selling something. There's lots of good ideas here. Then we have more complete leadership sequences. So leadership sequences are great if you are trying to build a name for yourself. There's no other way to put it. Build a name for yourself. So if you are just growing on Instagram now, or whatever social media you're using, doing mini trainings or doing some sort of like audits, Q&As, they are so good to just make sure that you're building that credibility with your audience. Okay. It's not, don't take this for granted. This content is only going for your current followers, and it's giving them a reason to stay. It's showing how much value you have. So whether you sell products or you sell services, you can do mini trainings, Q&As, things like that that are going to really boost your leadership in your niche and giving them a reason to stay. Remember, not losing followers is actually gaining followers. Then we go on to our sales sequences, which are, you know, you don't have to follow these story by story, but it's story sequences that I've used myself in the past, and I tried to put an example for each of those just for you to kind of see. And some examples actually with stories that I created myself quite recently, actually, and just showing you how I went about it. Two things that I want to notice here is cliffhangers, which a lot of people don't do, and this can be so good. So you finish your stories by leaving a cliffhanger, like, until I did this, like everything was going wrong and wrong and wrong until I did this. Or, guys, something crazy happened today and I can't wait to tell you what it is. And then you disappear for 24 hours. And people are like, what happened? You know, you just build that up, build that excitement, disappear for 24 hours and wait for people to DM you the questions. What is it? What's going on? Then the next day, you can bring those DMs to your stories and continue talking about it. So don't underestimate the power of cliffhangers for engagement. And finally, just a quick reminder that when you add your calls to action don't necessarily need to be at the end. They can be kind of in the middle, and then you continue the story. And even if you put them at the end, you can still continue the story after with more arguments. Don't just end at the call to action all the time. You can continue to kind of build up even more. Generally continuing with some FOMO, like countdowns, people that are joining, people that are participating, it's really, really good to keep that excitement going. So even if they ignored your link or your call to action at first, they will see that other people didn't. And when they see that other people didn't ignore your call to action, they're gonna see, okay, hang on a second. Maybe I should consider this because I'm not the only one here, right? So it's important to show that other people are buying. It's important to show that other people are joining. So the same vibe for the products here. So just a few extra sequences. That is our Google Sheet for or document. I don't know what kind of fancy name I can put to it. I should probably put a very fancy name, but that is our Google Sheet. You know how valuable the information here is. Use it to help you create your own sequences, but don't be afraid to try your own sequences. Just remember that the only thing, well, a lot of the things they have in common are they invite your viewers first, they bring a story, there's usually some sort of climax, right? Something that either something's going wrong or you discovered something or something went right. And then there is kind of like the excitement, the resolution, the people are joining, the people are buying, the people are whatever, people are leaving you testimonials, your client's life has been transformed. So it's all about like that big party feeling, big excitement vibes. Okay. Any comments or in regards to this? Because now we're going to go to the Q&A, so I'm sure there's going to be loads of questions. Any comments about anything I just said? And you guys, like, if you have anything, just unmute yourself and say it, because we're a good enough group size, so go for it.
May, I had a question for like stories that you're sharing for repetition. So one thing that I do every day happens in the morning. So that could be like my first story of the day. Do you recommend like keeping that just like picture and like a little text, or should I have like some sort of engagement on there to kind of like prime the rest of the day or the rest of the stories?
I would suggest, if I were you, I wouldn't post it every single day, but I would post it very often. And I would make sure that it has a lot of context. So you're explaining exactly what it is, so, or what you're doing, and kind of bringing it back to your world and your essence, right? So if you're studying, what are you studying? What is the goal of studying? What is the action you do every day, if you don't mind saying?
It's a morning journaling practice.
And what does that mean for you?
Mental clarity. A lot of
Right.
things, actually. Yeah.
So mental clarity, and what do you do? What do you offer?
I do intuitive life coaching.
Brilliant. So those two things pair perfectly together. So every day you start your day by journaling, talking about, you can talk about your journal entries for the day. You can talk about the fact you're journaling. You can ask people, maybe if you ask yourself a question about like gratitude, or about maybe in a question that you asked yourself on that day, you can ask people the same question. Or you can ask people if they journal. You can ask people things just to get them engaged. Not necessarily every day, doesn't have to be every day. You can just share something about your journaling, and that should be fine.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
No worries. As long as you get back to your essence and to the reason why you're doing that, and the benefits, or something that brings back to your brand. And that will already prime you for the rest of the day, just to finalize the answer.
May I understand that if we're going to have a launch, we can do stories to build anticipation, and that's where we start. But what else could I do to build anticipation toward, other than a launch?
Okay, so other than a launch, if you want to build, generally there has to be a reason to build anticipation for something. And anticipation can last as long or as little as you need it to last, depending on the size of what you're going to promote. So if it is, for example, you're going to do an Instagram live with an expert, and you want to build some anticipation around that, so I would suggest for 1 or 2 days before, or even on the same day if you're busy, to just build some anticipation around it in your stories, right? You go on stories and you just say, guys, today I have such an amazing guest coming to my Instagram live. They are this, blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about this. Don't miss out. And then next story, maybe a picture. After this live, you will be able to all the benefits of the live, and then a countdown for the live. And then right before you go live, just another story saying we're going to be live in 30 minutes. There you go. So that's one.
Can you use something like a retrospective about your guests to help to build that anticipation? Like they've done a live before, or they have been featured somewhere, so this tells you this is a really expert, so you profile them a little bit.
Absolutely. You can bring their credibility in and use that to build the credibility of your Instagram live. So absolutely. This is actually something we call credibility piggyback. Every time you bring an expert from somewhere, you use their credibility and you talk about their credibility and link that to the fact that either they're going to be your guest, or maybe you're talking about their strategy, something that connects back to you as well. So very important.
Thanks.
No worries. Great question. So I think we have a question from Grace here on the chat. Can you elaborate the difference between engagement and connection? This is something you shared in the course. So engagement and connection, they can be the same thing. I would say that all connection is engagement, but not all engagement is connection, if that makes sense. So if an engagement is simply you shared something funny, like today, I just shared a fact that I had I posted a video with a tortilla chip that was under my nose, and I decided to post the reel anyway. I don't care. And, it was funny. It was like haha moment, but there was no deep connection, right? That there's nothing in depth that's making my audience connect to me. Now, if you remember the day that I shared, maybe people didn't see it, but when I shared the first time that, guys, I'm so bummed out, I just recorded a bunch of reels and I realized that I had a tortilla chip under my nose in one of the reels I recorded. Should I post it or not? And then I go on and talk about, look, I think that sometimes we have to put a limit on ourselves and our perfectionism, because if we are stopping ourselves every time we do something, trying to redo everything 15 million times, and I continued from there, kind of building a story about like really being a perfectionist and trying at the same time to be consistent. That is connection, right? Can you see the difference in a haha moment and bringing a deeper reason? So that, yeah. So all connection is engagement. Not all engagement is connection, particularly when it's a funny thing or something that you don't bring depth. That's why when Kelsey was asking me, I always say, bring it back to your world. Talk about the reason why you did this. A client, so Ginevra is saying, and apologies if I said your name wrong, and then I'll go to Lily. Sorry, I just saw Lily. A client of mine doesn't want to show the process of their product, and it makes sense for the brand. We want to aim for the wow effect. How can I use anticipation in a proper way in this case? Can you give me a little bit more detail about what their product is? So
yeah, it's a stationery brand, so they have a bullet journal or some like pencils or something like that, and mostly notes book or something like that.
Okay. And they don't want to show the behind the scenes of the manufacturing, but they want to show kind of, they want to do a proper launch with everything happening, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Are they an upscale brand, or are they kind of like a more down to earth brand?
I would say down to earth brand.
Okay.
The latter.
So I would definitely say try to record people's reactions. So if somebody's seeing that for the first time, show their reactions, show initial feedbacks, say, guys, we just showed our brand new line of stationery to somebody, and this is exactly what they said. And then if you can record them, that's fine. If you can't, just show their feedback. We can't wait to share it with you. Let me show you a sneak peek inside one of our brand new planners or our brand new notebooks. So then you can show a few sneak peeks, the quality of the detail, maybe the quality of the different pages, small things, kind of like, think of it as like a trailer. You show some of the best parts for people to be excited to see the rest. You can also create a competition before you launch. So kind of like for people to win a planner, a notebook, or a brand new set, but make it like a game. Make that they have to either guess something or make it easy, like very easy. But if you make it as a game, it's usually the best thing. So like tag a friend, and then that friend will win it with you. Something super easy to participate. And I think last point is you can show a little bit of, if you have some packaging going on, or if you have meetings that you can show with them talking about the design and the different options they went through, because I'm pretty sure that they probably went through a few different rounds of like product design before they got to the final one. So talking about that process rather than the production of it is a big part of it as well.
Thank you.
No worries. Great question. Love that question. I work with a hairbrush company, and I can really relate to that. So let's see. I think we had Lily here. Oh, Lily. Which platform would you recommend to pre-plan your stories other than Google or Trello? Thanks. To pre-plan my stories, to be honest, the only time where I pre-plan my stories is when I'm either in a launch or before a launch for the launch, because I know that during the launch there will be lots of things going on. So the only thing I do really is I get a Google document, like literally just a Word, Microsoft Word, and I say story 1, blah, 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 story 2, blah, blah, story 3. That's all I do. I would say, or a notebook, literally a notebook, because I'd say with stories, the less complicated you make it, the better. You could use another app that I use sometimes for content in general is Notion. Notion is very good. I'm actually switching from Trello to Notion. Yeah, I think that's it. Keep it simple. Let's see. Kristen added a couple comments up. Kristen here. Oh no, why you summarize instead of typing? I think I mentioned that. Kelsey, I had May on my shoulder about not impactful stories. They don't care. I want them to care about what I care. And it excites me to think about their attention, about catching their attention now versus only posting boring stuff. I love that. Do you have any recommendations for sponsored stories? Nice. And what do you think about posting a link in the story? I heard that the algorithm doesn't really like it. It's not that, I don't want us to think about the fact that the algorithm doesn't like it. It's the fact that people don't like it. So the algorithm doesn't, unless it's TikTok, because on TikTok, the algorithm controls things. It's actual people behind the algorithm, but that's a story for another day. But on Instagram, the algorithm is simply based on people's choices and desires. And think about it, how many of us like to see links on stories? Nobody, right? If you were to choose, do you want links on your stories, on other people's stories? Really, you'd say no, because that's a pure marketing thing. Somebody's trying to sell you something. In the best case scenario, somebody's trying to promote something, kind of like to help you with something, but still. I would say that the link has to appear after you build that story sequence, or after you've built that, even if you didn't create a full sequence, if you just added a few different pieces talking about something that's engaging and nice and showing that people are buying, that people are joining, and then you put a call to action saying, by the way, if you want to join too, here you go, here's the link. It's inevitable that the views drop when you put a link, but if you want to make sales, you either have to put a link or a call to action saying DM me. So it's always a trade-off. You can't have both all the time. There are ways around it, particularly on the feed, but on stories, when you're selling, just don't linger. Just throw the link there. Don't linger. Don't ask for permission. Just make it exciting and throw the link. And for sponsored stories, I think, of course, transparency is necessary to say they are sponsored. But I like to start with the same exact format I use for my sequences. So I start by inviting people into a story, asking them about something maybe that they struggle with, or telling them something interesting that happened on my day. And that part is not sponsored, right? Because there's no promotion. So I build it up with non-sponsored posts, and then I give a sponsored solution. I say that the solution is sponsored, but I always say that I tried it, that I trust it, that because that's what I do. If I'm sponsoring, if somebody's paying me, I try it and I trust it. So you can say those things as well to kind of just make it more genuine and make it like, okay, I'm not just saying that because they're paying me. Okay, Kristen, my problem is that I'm a language teacher and people always want me to just do quizzes in the story, but this doesn't sell anything or get link clicks. So I try to not do it more than once or twice a week. It's so hard to balance what they want and actually being a teacher with courses that need people paying them. So I am boring them when I'm selling, if that makes sense. Okay, I see what you mean. And I see that they want quizzes. What I would recommend is really exactly like you said, keep it to 1 or 2 times a week. don't do it more, and make sure that you are communicating these days. When you get to Wednesday and on Thursday you have the quiz, make sure you're properly communicating that the quiz is coming, that are things that are going to happen, that you're super excited, that you're planning something really good. And just make sure that in the other days you're maybe sharing. I think the best thing is really to share your past client stories. Talk about how well they're speaking, they're speaking German, right? How well they're speaking German. Talk about the fact that maybe some people are fluent, some people are getting some really good, opportunities. And when we put these stories into an actual story and not just share a boring testimonial with 5 stars on the top, we start seeing a really, really big connection. And all of a sudden, sometimes you even start cheering for those people and looking, wow, I can't believe it. They went from knowing nothing to actually being fluent in German in 2 years. That's really crazy. So your engagement drops when you sell. That's always the case. But emotion drives the sale, if that makes sense. That's why we have the engagement pieces, the quizzes, the things like that we do on other days, to build trust, so that on the days you're selling, that you can convert them to the sale. Is that okay? Now, one disclaimer here. If you put a link right after your quiz, I guarantee you nobody's going to join. Like, nobody's going to buy, because you just gave a bunch of free value and then you said, buy my stuff. And there is no connection. There is no benefit. Why am I going to buy her stuff if everything here is free and good? So what you need to be doing is either you create a connection in between the quiz and the link, right? You can talk about the benefits of your course. You can talk about their reality after. You can talk about past clients. You need to add that connection. And then you add the call to action, or maybe a DM me to see if we're a good fit. DM me to see how I can help you learn German in half the time, or something like that. Very, very strong. But not just, and that's for anything you guys create. If you're writing an email full of free stuff, and then at the end you just put, by the way, buy my offer, it's very weak. There has to be a connection there that builds that trust and builds that desire. So don't just fall flat from one to the other. Kristen, any more comments around that?
No, but I'm currently in a launch, and it's just like my views are really low, which is actually because of my launch was why I bought the course, because I was like, I'm kind of suffering. But yeah, so I'm trying to use it, but I feel like really clickbaity and like, I don't know. Right now I sold one spot, but it's a conversation course, so it doesn't make sense. And I think at least the second one. And it's like, I think a lot of service providers have this problem, but most people want to work one-on-one with me. And so it's really hard to sell these things that aren't one-on-one. And that's like always been a struggle. And then I finally get them filled and I'm like, thank God. But then when it comes again, it's like just difficult. And everyone's like, yeah, it sounds good, but I'd rather just have you for myself, so to say. And that's really difficult. So, yeah.
What are the benefits of being in a group coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like really good to not just be used to speaking with your teacher, because I've noticed that then sometimes people are really scared to talk to other people. But of course, that's the problem. That's part of why they don't want to do the course, because they're scared of talking to anyone and they find me nice, but they don't know who the rest of the people are going to be. So they're still scared. Like, what if I say dumb stuff and everyone laughs at me? Like, I don't know.
Okay. And what you just told me there, that it's good to communicate with other people, to get used to other accents. Have you communicated that in your Instagram stories?
As best as I can. I mean, maybe not well enough.
So we need to be communicating the clear value. And I'll share with you something. There are 21 questions or 20 questions, I think, that I like to answer before any launch. So they go through limitations, they go through what's special about this, what's unique, why would anybody buy this and not something else. So if your group coaching is directly competing with your one-to-one, we need to be creating a really clear value proposition for your group coaching and a really clear value proposition for your one-to-one, so that they're no longer competing with each other, right? So that the people that want one-to-one, they go there, but then you're clearly communicating the outcomes of that. And then during your launch, you can use those questions to empower whatever you say. Is that okay?
I just wanted to jump in, sorry, because I offer the same service and it's going really well, the group coaching. So I'm a French teacher and I have a group, like a practice session, and the students really like the sense of community. Like some of them told me like, this is such a safe place because I can practice with people who understand the struggles I'm going through. So this is one of the arguments that would actually make them think that this could be a good offer. And also you could say like it's a good way to practice, of course, and also to make friends, because sometimes they just don't have anybody to talk to, and it's better to talk to many people than just one teacher. And the other thing is that you could build like really high quality exercises, and that's also like very good value.
Wow. Thank you so much, Eliza, or how do you say your name? How do you pronounce it properly?
Elisa.
Elisa. Thank you so much for that. Power of community. So yeah, I honestly, Kristen, Elisa, I would say you two have a lot to benefit from kind of like a common chat and exchanging information, if that's what you're, if that's something you decide to do after, because if you're offering the same thing in different languages, you're not even direct competitors. So there you go. But yeah, we underestimate sometimes the power of just talking about that clear value proposition and how the current students are feeling and everything that we can pass to them. Let me see other questions. Okay, lots of questions. Hang on. Not specific to stories, but what engagement strategy do you recommend? Okay, great question. And actually, I'm going to make a post about it because I don't sell. Okay, guys, I don't sell anything related to engagement. So next week, I will be putting out a post with everything about engagement. Like I don't even care. Like I don't teach engagement. So I will post everything about engagement next week. So keep an eye out for that. Better than me trying to talk it through. Let's see. This was my question you missed. I'm usually the very girl next door, and I started using the sheets a few days, and I feel kind of clickbaity with the invite story. And I don't know how to balance being relatable, helpful, but trying to get people to watch the stories or click the links. Okay. So there is this is something I went through, and I don't know if people can relate. When I started trying to sell stuff, I fell into the friend zone because I was the girl next door. I was the nice girl that everybody would come to for free advice, get all the stuff for free. Hey, May, can I get 5 minutes of your time? All that kind of stuff. And I would just say yes to everything, right? It's yes here, it's yes there. And I would feel very clickbaity. I would feel very salesy trying to promote my stuff. But looking back today, when I promote my stuff, I feel really, I'm not going to curse, I feel really empowered. Oh, Whitney's here, so I can curse. I feel really, I feel really fucking empowered. And because I know the value that my transformations, my courses can provide. I've seen it in my clients, and I know that the more people that hear about them, the more people that will get benefits, the more people will be able to impact. So it's no longer me just saying, oh, I just want to make money. It's, I really want to make a difference. And that's the mindset we need to get at when we are selling things. When you start seeing, I'm sure you've seen transformations in your clients. So how good would it feel to be able to repeat those transformations to 100 more people, 1,000 more people? And that's the vibe you need to get to. If you feel salesy, my best advice is to surround yourself with people that talk about their offers like they're in love, like it's the best thing in the world, because you're going to start absorbing their energy and you're going to start feeling, oh my God, this is so empowering. Like I actually got better because I had a client, same hairbrush client. Oh my God. She talks about her hairbrushes like it's the best thing in the world. No joke. I have like every one of her products, like scrunchies, hairbrushes, spent all my money that she gives me on her own products because she's so good at sales. And it's not salesy. Like it's just not. She's genuinely helping people. So surround yourself with that vibe and have that attitude that empowering attitude that you want to transform people's lives when you are talking about your offers. So don't go with the intention of, I need to make more sales, I need to convince people. You're just talking about how beautiful your offers are and how much you know, how much you can help, how much you can change people's lives. Okay. I never use the question box for Q&As because I'm not sure what my public wants to hear. My life, my topic, inclusive marketing, random tips. Should I just ask in a story how to frame work in a way that makes sense? Okay. So the Q&A box is not a very good tool to use overall. People are lazy, okay? Most people will not ask questions because everybody's lazy. We just want to scroll to the next story. Now, places where I really think you need to be adding that Q&A box is during a launch. For example, on day 2 or day 3 of the launch, after the big excitement, I really, really want you guys to consider adding that Q&A box and ask, okay, if you're still on the fence about joining and you have questions, let me know, let me know what they are below so I can answer them for you. And then even if nobody asks stuff straight away, because they won't ask straight away, you write your own questions in the question box, right? So I want you writing, are there payment plans? Is this for me if I've tried other courses before? Why, I've tried other courses before and none of them worked. Then you complete the sentence with something that makes sense, because that is you going through all their limitations, right? All the client limitations that maybe people have in their minds, but they would never ask you or think about asking you. I've tried so many Instagram courses before. Why should I buy your course? And then you can build it up, but make it look like an actual question. Don't make it look fake. But yeah, and then kind of really good questions as well. If your course is live, I don't know if I can make it, I'm in this time zone, and then you say, okay guys, the courses times are this, and this, but they will all be recorded and stored in our drive. So it's very important. And then go back to your Q&A and check if there are any questions from your audience. And generally, after they see 2 or 3 questions answered, some people will ask questions. Other than that, Q&As are good if you have, like I said, a specific day of the week that you're going to do a mini training. And you say, guys, team, today I'm going to do a completely free Q&A for us. Ask me anything about Instagram, ask me anything about hair, ask me anything about French. If you put a more specific topic even, it's better. So I like to put the Q&A, and around the Q&A, I give suggestions of topics. So like slangs in French, formal versus informal French, names of food in French, etc. I find that really works. Power of suggestion. Don't leave it broad. Ask me anything. Nobody will ask anything. Carolina's question. How would you use the sequences if you are starting or have a slow month and don't have much client content? Okay, so if you don't have much client content and you're just starting, I would maximize the client content you have. So say, for example, you're meeting a client on next week to give them, I don't know, like an audit or a personalized class or whatever it is. I want you showing the behind the scenes of you preparing the work for them, going through maybe their questionnaire, talking about client struggles, talking about how you work, what's your methodology, what is different from you and from what the market is doing. And you can say, and also, guys, I've noticed such a big problem in the Instagram tips community, the Instagram, whatever you want to call them. These people are telling you to engage with everybody, where I think that you should put your content first, engagement after, and engagement has to come. So, build your own credibility in the middle of that story. Talk about how you work, your methodology, the behind the scenes of that specific client work, and maybe some things that you are building for the future as well, right? Because your day is full, your day is busy, you're just starting, but you're building so much stuff. So don't hesitate to talk about these things. Let's see. Carolina, anything that I said now, any questions, anything before I keep reading the comments in the chat? All good? Okay.
For me, it's about being out of the US and out of first world. And that means that some of the features like captions and so on are not available to me. And at least I think that there's limited sharing of the things outside of my area, because I get a lot of local people and only local people seeing it. But my ideal target market comes from the US. So how do I up that engagement is my question. But it goes back to, I know you said you'd post about engagement. How can I get more views? Stories might help, but from that wider market that I want to target.
Okay. I don't want you to take anything I say as like the universal rule, but this is what I've noticed. So for example, now I'm in Brazil. I keep getting recommendations from content from Brazilian people as well. So Instagram has that regional thing. I think most platforms do, because they assume that your target audience is in your country, right? You could do it the, how do I say, the normal way, the religious way, the regular way, and geotag the US in every post. You could try to find more, how do I say, oh my God, the collaborations. You could try to find collaborations with people from the US and start to position yourself as somebody that is working with people in the US. So keep working on collabs, features on other people's posts, features on podcasts, even if it's a small podcast and small things, every little counts. And if your own content's not going to the right people, then you probably need to invest in that external thing a little bit more, just to get more people from those places. Also, what I find works a lot is if you can use seasonal content. So for example, within the US, there's 4th of July, and you can create content around 4th of July, you're gonna attract American people, right? So just kind of understanding the habit of American consumers so that you can put those things in your content. And now one thing that I don't recommend and I don't suggest, but I've seen people doing, is using a VPN. Now, does that work? I don't know. So, yeah.
Right. I turned off my location services because it places me here, but I actively need to place myself. So I can't geotag the US, but I'll have to choose a city or specific location.
Yeah, and you can keep choosing different locations, and that's, yeah.
All right, thank you.
No worries. But I would say that more than that, the collaborations are going to be the thing that will make a difference, and the seasonality. I had the same problem at the start, and these two things really changed the game for me. I'm from Trinidad in the Caribbean. What would you suggest I do? Oh, okay. That's the
That's-
same. Okay. My students are okay. My students are interested in me, but I don't know how to attract new ones. My interactions are always from current or past students, which is encouraging, but it's hard to reach the future clients. Do you mean that it's hard to reach new people, or do you mean that it's hard to convert new people?
Yeah, that was me again. I have a lot of questions. But so I have enough followers. Followers is not the problem. But for example, if I put like, yeah, how was your day? Chill or busy, then all of my students answer it, and all of my past students answer it. Or if I put a Q&A box, they're like putting questions in. And then, so I feel like the people who like me, but they're already my students. So it's like, and I feel like maybe, yeah, it's hard for me to, yeah, my messaging is maybe not that good. So it's like once I convert them, then they are more converted because they know me. So they know me like live and like in my classes, and they're like, oh, she's so cool, I want to comment on her stuff. But before that, it's like hard when it's just they only know my Instagram person, so to say. Yeah.
Okay. That's a great question. And I want to ask you, are there any steps in between them seeing your Instagram content and becoming your student? Is there anything else that they can purchase, or a freebie, or something very, very tiny that they can buy?
I mean, so currently I don't have a freebie that's like always available, but I did do like a live thing before. So like where they came to a live lesson for free, and like or YouTube live where they had to get the link by being on the list, like this type of stuff. But they're always like short-lived. So like when it was live, so to say. Yeah.
Okay. Because there is that, how do I say? There are a few things that we need to consider. Number one, people need to understand that that your profile is a safe place for people to interact and for people to kind of comment and participate, that you value their opinion. And you can do that by doing exactly what you're doing. You're showing that people are commenting, you're showing that people are participating. But I would go a bit deeper in the questions. So what I like to do is ask real questions that impact my day to my audience. So not just how is your day, because I ask that stuff too, like how's your day today? Chill, busy. But if I'm, for example, choosing I don't know, I want to sell planners in the future, which I do, but I am choosing like the design of planners, and I want to ask people, what do they prefer, this or kind of like something like this, and you give a little context, and you really tell the importance for you of what you're doing, or you're trying to pick your outfit for whatever. When you ask things that really matter, people feel more valued than when you ask, like I always make the joke, do you prefer tea or coffee? So that's number one. But number two is through your feed content. So giving not only tips, but also generating the awareness of why those tips are important, what difference in their life can they make now that's a whole class for another day, but what difference in their life that content can make, that building that awareness before you just give a bunch of tips. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but I'm saying that this is what happens normally on Instagram, is super, super important. So that's number two. And number three is your value ladder. So before somebody becomes a student and pays you this much, a lot of people need a step before. So right here, where they pay you a little bit less, or maybe a lot less, right? To get a taste of what it's like to be in your world. And if you're saying that after they join your world, they start to trust you, they love it, and they want more, then I would highly, highly recommend you have a very, very cheap offer that is a video course. Like it has to be video, not PDFs. Even if it's a freebie, it could be a freebie, but I'd recommend having both, a freebie and a small paid offer. And then in that small paid offer, you give them as much value as you can. Like, so they can feel like their heads are just blowing up. And that will definitely increase your engagement and your relationship with your followers, for sure. Surprisingly.
And when you say very cheap, like, can we get some ranges for what that might mean? I think that's so hard because I think it's different for everyone, and I think especially like people who learn German. I mean, it surprised me. I didn't think that before, but they live everywhere. So you know, I have people living in South Africa, in Brazil, in just like India, and so they're like what they think is accessible is very different depending on where they are, and I find that so difficult because I don't want to be like a cheap brand, but I also don't want to be too expensive. But that's different for every, like, oh, it's so hard.
I get it. I totally get it. And it's not the fact that if you have a 12 euros thing that you're going to be a cheap brand. It's all about understanding how much you're going to put in those offers and what comes next, right? So you can have, like, I've already had in the past 7 euros offers that, it was just a video editing course. Like it was super value packed, but it was just 2 classes. And basically it taught you how to edit reels in the Reels app and how to edit reels on InShot. That was it. But people loved it. And it was 7 euros. And it just broke the ice because I wanted to break the ice for people that were too afraid to create content and had never started. So that was my goal then. I really wanted a really low entry level barrier. Now, I give you my full transparency here. What is my goal with selling with Instagram stories, with the carousel course I'm going to launch in the future, which is going to be the best carousel course in the world? Like, just look at any of my carousels. It'll be the best. But anyways, what is my goal with these offers? My goal with these offers is, number one, to give my audience a really good taste of what it's like to work with me, to show my commitment, to show how much attention I put to everything, and to bring them inside my world before maybe they join a one-to-one, or if that's it for them, that's fine too, because some people they can only afford so much because of where they live or their circumstances, and that's okay. And I didn't want to just offer people a 3-figure or 4-figure coaching, knowing that I really, really wanted to give them some easy, not done for you, but kind of like strategic solutions to kind of get them to enter my world. So I chose the 70 euros value. So it's, bottom line, totally up to you, as long as you tailor the value of your offer. Is that okay? Cool. All right. Carla, I'm a travel agent. Sometimes my clients send me a nice message or they leave a review on Facebook after their trip. What is the best way to put their message in my story and I can make a connection with the audience? Okay, so this is actually my favorite way of sharing this. It's never about the message itself. It's more so about transformation you provided to that client, or their experience, or maybe and also, I'm not going to say or, and how that made you feel. So you can start by saying, guys, I just received the best message today on Facebook from a past client of mine. Is it okay with you if I share it here? I think I really want to show like how beautiful this is or whatever. The invitation is there. And just show your emotion, like genuine. And then, yeah, go for it. Or no, I hate stories, just put something silly after. And then before you just slap the story across the screen, we're going to take an extra story to talk about the background. So who is that client? What were they looking for? What were they expecting before coming to you? What did they want? And then you continue by talking about how you helped them get what they wanted, how you worked together, or how you how you managed to personalize something for them that it was unique to them and solved and had all the things that they wanted in their travel plan. And then after you share, if you could even share photos of their trips, but like, if they allow you, of course, you can share it, and then you can share the message, because look at how much more powerful this all becomes, rather than 5 stars. I loved working with Carla. She is the best. Right? And I think that is sequence number, if I'm not mistaken, that is sequence number 1 on our sales sequences. Let's see. Selling with a testimonial. Yeah, that's sequence number 1. Oh, where's my Zoom link is here. Anybody has anything else to add about testimonials, anything like that? Anybody want to comment anything? Because testimonials are super powerful to not only sell, but also build trust, and just sometimes just have stuff to share on stories as well.
I do have a question about that, May. I'm wondering, like, is there a way to involve my customers live, since I'm a brick and mortar? I don't know, it's probably awkward for a lot of people, but I can think of some people who are extroverts who would be happy to be on camera. Like, how do you do that without it seeming awkward and scripted?
So how do you want to involve them? Is it a testimonial kind of thing, or are you thinking about something more like elaborate?
So, okay, so I am, I can empathize with you, Kristen. You said you were suffering through your launch right now. I am suffering through my launch. I have hit a wall of resistance today. I just feel so, I started feeling salesy, and I know I'm in my head. It's not true. And actually, just a second ago, I got a DM from somebody who was like, just want to tell you, you guys are crushing it on social media right now. And I was like, you're my angel. I needed that today. Thank you. Because it's not true, right? None of us are out there just like, buy my thing. Like, we're coming from a place of service, right? So I get to remember that. But I think what I'm trying to do, May, is think of any way to just have it not be just my mug. Like, I keep feeling like I'm just in the camera so much right now, and I'm just in a launch. So I think what I'm missing is, like, I'm not talking about my products and not bringing in my juice and my smoothies. And like, I guess, yeah, I gotta like back it up and get creative.
Okay. Good question. I think that everybody has a lot to win when it comes to sharing user-generated content, particularly when it's real user-generated content and not paid. And there are a few ways that you can go about this, Chrissy. You can ask people for genuine testimonials, like you really can, and you just throw them in your feed. It's not going to get engagement, but the goal is not engagement. The goal is sales. So that's totally okay. And I actually recommend, if people can do it, go for it. It's good. You can also share those same testimonials in your stories, but putting a story around them, right? So before you share whatever they're saying in the camera, just talk about the fact that, the work you did together, the before, the work together, the after, and their message, because it potentializes the message. And all you need are really 3 little Instagram stories before you share that testimonial that they shared. Then another thing you can do is to give an incentive. So this is something I worked with a client of mine, and she has a skin kind of like a, what's the name? Those places that make your skin pretty, you know, and do all the peels and
Like a medical spa. Yeah, I know what you mean.
that's it. That's it. And she was saying, man, my clients, they forget to share, or they, you know, they just don't share stuff on their Instagram. And yeah, that happens, you know, people, it's not people's priority. But what she started doing is she put a mirror right in the front of her spa and a message just below saying, share a photo of you today after your treatment and tag us and get a free sample of your favorite products. So she got the samples for free anyways, and she was giving them for clients anyways. But now she has a full story behind that. She potentialized it even more. So people, and of course she reminds people to do it as well. So people go, whoever wants to do it, they go to the mirror, they share it on their stories, and then immediately they get like some sort of sample. So if you can do that incentive as well, and then every time they share in their stories, you reshare in yours, that is much more powerful than you trying to catch them in the corner and, you know, hey, can you say something to the camera? So
Yeah. Okay. Do you tag them when you reshare their story?
you can if you want, but I think now with the new Instagram kind of system, you don't need to tag someone for them to see that you shared their story. So
Okay.
they will see it anyways.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I would suggest, I literally just did that. I think she left now. I think Grace, that was here earlier, if you go to my stories right now, Grace shared that she was going to go in a call today with us to learn more about Instagram stories and blah, blah, blah. I reshared her post to my stories, and I just put a little context in front saying that super excited to see everyone that joined CIS later today, little fire, and then showing that somebody's actually sharing stuff.
Awesome. Thanks.
No worries. Hope this helped.
Definitely.
I want to hear how the launch is going later.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, is it, Christy, you had another question? I have a question about taking people through my day during my launch.
You've given a lot of examples actually since I wrote that. So I took some good notes. I think, yeah, like I was just trying to think of how to work in some of my products. Cause I guess that is another question. Like when we're in a launch, if we sell many things, today somebody posted a story, getting her weekly juice subscription at the store. Normally I'd be like so excited to share that. Do I not share that because I'm in a launch and that's not what I'm selling right now?
Okay, so that's a great question. Normally, if it's something completely out of the way that has nothing to do with the launch, I would say don't share. But your juice subscription, in a way, you could tie that up with your offer, not even with your offer, with your brand, by saying, you know, thank you so much for, you know, like at Juice Barn, we are, whatever you stand for, we really make, we combine deliciousness with nutrition, and this is what makes us so popular with our clients. This is exactly what we're doing in our new offer. We are giving you recipes, blah, 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 blah. So you're bringing it back to your kind of why, to your reality. And then you're grouping that and talking about the offer with it.
Amazing. Yeah. Thanks. Perfect. Thank you.
That little paragraph that you add with it, it changes everything.
Yeah.
Heather, oh my gosh, I didn't even know you could put your own questions in the question box. That's brilliant. Ah, I love that. Now you know, Heather, that all the first questions that I share are never from other people. It's just me. Okay, let's see. Someone once messages me that they knew the questions were from me, and you can make a joke about that. You could, Kristen, you could just say, you got me, I am terrible, or, you know, like, I really don't care, you know. So many people, you know it yourself, the more followers you get, the more people just say whatever is in their mind, just like, okay. Seriously, like, for example, the thing about sounding salesy, somebody came to me after I was doing that whole, I don't know if you guys went through it, the whole sequence on my DMs. By the way, if you guys have questions about that, I can show you the entire sequence. And I asked them, you know, how did you find it? Did you sign up, or do you have any questions? And they were like, no, that's too expensive for me. Like but in a very rude way. And I just said, like, sorry, my prices don't fit your budget. And it's not my fault, you know, it's sorry, my prices don't fit your budget. There you go, job done. I don't even listen. Reen, the engagement helps too. The more I have people from international markets commenting and saying and saving my posts, the more I get followers that aren't Egypt based. Oh yeah, I think that was for Marcia. May, do you have any tips on how to draw the fine line between giving too much value, between giving value and giving away too much, to the extent that they feel they don't need to pay? Okay, that's a great question, Reem. And there are two things that make that fine line. Okay, the first thing is what we're going to talk about in the carousels course, but I can anticipate it here. Let me go on my Instagram and I will show you what I mean. I already started saying that to Kristen, but I'll show you exactly what it is. Come on, here's my Instagram, and let me share my screen. Can you see my screen? Yeah, cool.
Yes.
Thank you. So the first thing is the awareness. Okay, so that awareness piece, rather than just throwing a bunch of tips. So when I give tips, I don't put the tips immediately after. Okay, so if we go to this carousel, things nobody tells you about Instagram stories, but I do. Every time on my first and my second post, I am going to raise awareness. In fact, this entire carousel is about awareness. And if you think you need to share tips to kind of build engagement and build trust, I would say you need to share awareness. So what is awareness? You need to show people that either what they're doing is hurting them, is not giving them results, or show them that you know a better way for them to be doing things, right? And that is ultimately what helps with engagement, because it just creates that click in their mind that they go, okay, now I understand that maybe I don't need to be having 100 Instagram story ideas. I just need to understand what works in my life and involve topics in my life and in my business, in what I stand for, etc. Let me give you one carousel that I'm actually giving tips. But I start first. Here, stop trying to be professional on social media. So I could have literally just started this carousel with this. So logos repel people who scroll. Your business versus social media, you know, perfectly curated pictures. People ignore content that ignores people. I could literally be just throwing tips at them and forget about these two initial pages. But the two initial pages of your posts are meant to build that awareness. So I know that when we create content, we get so worried about making everything look as good as possible, as professional as possible, and as pretty as possible. But what if I told you that the same professionalism could be hurting your connection with your audience and consequently your sales? If you're not adding that awareness slide, you're losing out on the value of your tips. So that is free content. Free content is awareness content plus tips. Or very relatable content, like the funny reel I just shared. Right here, we have somebody who never posts stories because they think their life is too boring. something fun like that, something relatable. And finally, I think the other fine line is really on the frameworks and the step-by-step. So you can share a bunch of loose tips, share everything, don't hold back. That's okay, because it won't have the same effect. Then when you share something with a client, you're going through their reality, you're giving them an exact step-by-step methodology that you're not going to be giving on your free content. So I would recommend keeping the frameworks and keeping the step-by-steps to the paid content. And in the free content, just give all the tips, like all of them, even if they're part of a framework, give them, who cares? I hope this helps. How do I stop sharing my screen? Oh, my MacBook. So grateful for your patience in illustrating the house. May I'm much clearer about using stories. Thank you so much, Marcia. Really means a lot. What's your advice when bots keep following? Should I block them or leave them to try to be shown to more numbers? Right now, I block them. Honestly, when I don't look at bots too much, but when I see that there's an influx of bots, because sometimes this happens and you've probably seen it too, right? It's always like, Andrew somebody or John somebody, 1, 2, 3. There's always numbers in the back for some reason, and two names and numbers. When you see an influx of those, I generally just put them on the unfollow, like I just unfollow them as soon as they follow me. And sometimes when I see that the person is not my ideal client as well, I remove them from my list. So if it's a kid or somebody like that, and I catch it straight away, I click on I unfollow them from my content. It's not something I do all the time, but if I see that my content is going the wrong way, especially when something's going a bit viral, I keep an eye on who's following me, because for sure there's going to be really crazy stuff happening, and I don't want that to happen, because in the past that burned me really badly. I had a video go viral, my first video, and it went to a completely wrong audience. Like, it was just like teenagers from a random country that I don't target. And I thought I was killing it, like superstar, so many followers. And then I realized that screwed my account for a year. And sorry for the wording, but it really did. And if I knew it, I literally would have deleted that viral video, like without mercy. But yeah, life only makes sense backwards. Okay, I don't even know what time it is. 4:20. Oh, do we have 10 minutes? That's great. What, any more? Geez, I'm very good with time today. I'm surprising myself. Any more questions, any more comments about the framework we talked about, or anything like that? Anything? No? All good? Okay.
I have a question. Sorry, but it's not for Instagram stories. You answered my question about testimonials, and what is the best way to put testimonials on the feed? It's kind of the same that you told me before.
Okay, so testimonials on the feed, they don't work as well. They are not going to get as much engagement unless it's a client success story. So you could frame it in a way like POV, your client just spent a week in France and whatever. So you could frame it in a way that talks about your client and not really the testimonial, because testimonials are more for us, right? It's like almost I don't want to say it in this way, but it's almost like a selfish thing. Whereas when we're sharing content to our audience in our feed, it has to be really selfless. It has to be really about them. So either a POV or a relatable piece of content that you share. And then in the captions, you talk about the story of the client that went through that same exact thing. So, and then you can, if you want, throw the testimonial at the bottom, but I guarantee you on the feed, it makes less of a difference than in the stories. Keep them in your highlights. That's for sure, for sure, for sure. Or like I said, if you want them, you can ask them to give you travel photos or maybe talking testimonials, and then you can share the talking testimonials. There won't be any engagement, but you know it already. But the goal is sales, the goal is trust. So let's make sure that we're not inverting the goals when we post things. Don't be afraid to get like 2 likes and, you know, a butterfly flying. As long as you make the sale, that's fine.
Okay,
I have a
perfect.
question.
Thank you.
No worries.
Speaking about highlights, you remember you had, sorry, Carla, am I interrupting in the middle of another question? Okay. May, when you talk about highlights, so let's say that you put a story up where you're talking about the benefits of your offer. Should you pin that in to the top of your grid, or should you put it in the highlights, or should you do none?
Okay. And sorry if there's background noise. What I would recommend is, so if you're talking about the benefits of your offers in your stories, you could potentially add it to a highlight that talks about that offer. Okay. But what you could do that's even better is create highlights that are specific for that offer and that are specific to be pinned in that highlight. So you have a little bit more time to work through it and make a logical sense, you know, rather than just pinning stuff every time you're talking about it. What the exception to that is when people talk about your offer, then you can start pinning it after you have your entire sequence talking about that offer, pinned to your highlights that you made for your highlights. Say on a day-to-day basis, people are talking about your offer and you're resharing. You can pin those things to that, also that highlight, and they will be shown after your story. So it's kind of like that piece of, how do I say, credibility.
Okay.
Yeah, external credibility. So, and then on the feed, it really depends what you're looking for. If you're not promoting or selling anything, you're just focused on growth, you could pin some things. If you are focused on selling, say, a specific offer, you could pin something about that specific offer. So don't think that the pin posts are forever. For sure, one post about you, but everything else is very much about what you're doing and what you're selling at the moment.
I am making an assumption here, and I think it's better that I don't. Sometimes you go to highlight and you see 25 or 50 short stories. I'm thinking that you're saying, listen, focus your thoughts around smaller ideas. Let people go there to see this offer, and don't overwhelm them with too much because you're burying it and you're overwhelming your client who's visiting.
100%. As long as you have, we're talking about highlights here. So as long as you have a proper sequence that talks about that offer, that explains, you know, what is inside, why you created it, what it involves, maybe some testimonials, that's enough. You don't need to be sharing a million behind the scenes, a million things of the process. That's for your day-to-day stories. That's the excitement, the FOMO. Highlights have the goal to build trust and to be clear. That's the 2 things they need to do. Build trust and be extremely clear. Finish with a call to action, you know, add the testimonials if you want. But yeah, as small as it can be without being, you know, losing information, but and as clear as possible, created specifically for your highlights.
Appreciate it.
Great question. Mariana has a question here for highlights, guys, and yeah, we still have time. Regarding highlights, is there an ideal number of stories that should be in a highlight, please? There's no number of stories. Like I talked to Marcia, it's really about making that story, that connection, that thing that makes sense with as little stories as possible, so you're not overwhelming people with like 20 or 30 different stories inside one highlight. I also want you to encourage you to make sure that your highlights are separated by categories that make sense. So something about you, something about a certain specific offer. You can have a highlight that's kind of like the Joker with quick tips, you know, or because some people that like to binge watch highlights, which there are those people, it's amazing how easily they will convert into followers or even go to your DMs when you have that highlight there with some quick tips. And inside those quick tips, don't just throw random tips, throw tips that show your opinion, that show your leadership, that really show who you are as a professional.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Good to see you here, Mariana.
Sorry, it's late here and I'm not that much arranged. That's why I'm off camera.
No worries, no worries. I only got dressed up for this class. You wouldn't like to see me before.
You look great. And I'm so happy to see you again.
Good to see you. Okay, I think Lily had a comment here. Let's see. German is hard to pronounce. Make it a game or some exercises on how to learn how to pronounce. Oh, I like that. So Lily's giving some tips for Kristen. Love it. Okay, so we can, I think I like Kristen's question here, which is, what is your number one tip for selling on Instagram? God, that is so hard. Like, I think, to be very, very honest, my number one tip on selling on Instagram, before content, before anything, because realistically, guys, you can make sales from any type of content. Okay, there's none of this craziness that reels don't sell, that carousels don't sell, that stories don't sell. Everything sells. Literally everything can make sales, as long as you have a clear path that your followers are following to buy. So if you have your value ladder very well established with your lower ticket courses there, and you're promoting your lower ticket courses, and inside the lower ticket courses, you're giving them an incentive to join the higher ticket stuff. If you have your link in bio always optimized without 50 million links, you know, you just have a very clear link. Think about really one day, do this exercise, pretend you're a complete stranger, or ask your partner or a friend or somebody to try to book something with you. See how fast they can do it. Because that is really an indication that it's easy for people to sign up for your things as well. I had a really big problem with one of my launches, that I didn't realize that I used a widget in my website that made my landing page super, super slow. Combine that with 3 other problems that I didn't see, and I had a massive problem during a launch, like massive, all because I didn't analyze my sales flow before I started creating a bunch of content promoting it, right? So always make sure that it's easy for people to join and that it makes sense for them, both in terms of value, but in terms of knowledge, in terms of clarity on the messaging, and in terms of how much you're repeating it. Don't assume that you said it once, they're going to remember it. They're not. They already forgot what selling with Instagram stories is. I always go with this mindset. I said it yesterday, people already forgot, say it again. So kind of, yeah, put yourself in a stranger's shoes and try to see how easy it is to buy something from you. or how convincing you are at showing them the arguments, showing them that they need it. Not even convincing, but like, you understand what I mean. Is that okay? And that's where a lot of people get wrong. And that's why when I start working with like my one-to-one clients, that's the first thing we do. Because if we don't do that, it doesn't matter what we create, we're not going to convert. So, cool. I think I have time for one more question. Regarding highlights, oh no, that we already did. Oh, Mariana has a tip from SEO. You should find anything on a site from 3 clicks. You made me think about this when talking about the buying experience. Love that, Mariana. Really good. I always say also, I think to add to that, you know, those link tree things that people have with 10 million links. I always think that if 100 people are going and clicking on your link in bio, divide that number by the number of clicks you have, the number of links you have. So if you have 10 links, divide 100 by 10. So 10 people is the number of people that are going to go to the actual offer you want them to go to. So if you're promoting a freebie, just throw the freebie on your link. That's just a freebie. If you're promoting a whatever, just throw the whatever. Or if you are on a regular day and you don't want to be bothered, just put your basic stuff, right? Freebie, main offer, maybe a course or whatever application for a one-to-one. There you go. 3 is enough. One final question. Who's going to ask the final question? Oh, Marcia, there you go.
Sorry to ask again. So it's a little bit messy in that I'm a special needs parent of a brain injured, bedridden child. I run a podcast to help other parents to deal with that. But I'm a coach for overwhelmed people. I learned a lot of that from being a special needs parent, but it's not, the podcast is not core to the service I sell. Lots of people say just hide that I'm a special needs parent, hide that I do the podcast, only present myself as an overwhelmed coach and don't muddy it. And I don't feel so, because this is authentically me. Life is messy. And what qualifies me is that I'm still standing 10 years later. So how do you feel about that? And how could I get more views on my podcast, get more purchases on my special needs parenting book, but not erode the presence of an overwhelmed coach who says, I'll help you live your best life?
Okay, so if the question had ended at, should I share more of my personal life to boost the fact, even my credibility or my story as an overwhelmed coach, I would say, do it. Share everything. Use yourself as the best example there is, right? Because we need to lead by example. I only teach what I apply myself. I don't invent things. I literally test everything before I write it down or give it to clients or do whatever. Now, you're telling me, how can I make more sales for special needs and get more views on the podcast as an overwhelmed coach? And those things are conflicting. Exactly. Inevitably, your audience is not going to be the same for both things. There's a lot of people that follow you because you are helping them deal with stress, anxiety, overwhelm. And maybe that overwhelm and stress and anxiety are not coming from having a child with special needs or even, right? So you're going to, if you start promoting those things in your page regularly, you will alienate the part of your audience, which is probably 90%, I'm going to assume, that are not in that situation. Now, what you can do is, if you start sharing more and more about this, there's some crazy things that are going to happen. So I am going to, let's do an exercise here to just show my point. How many people here quit a 9 to 5 to follow their, like, the dream they had in their mind, or their passion, or their mission? Okay, great. Raise your hand. Okay, great. Anybody else? Okay, I see Samantha here. Anybody else? Reem, Marcia, Mariana. There you go. Okay, because I talk about that all the freaking time. Let's see. This one might be a bit crazy. I get comments on this all the time, but I know this is not the norm. How many people here changed careers? They were something that they're completely different to what they are today. Aha! Carla, Mariana, Samantha, Reem. I love it. I love it, Marcia. There you go. Heather. There you go. So point proven. The more you talk about that, Marcia, the more you're going to attract people, not by accident, but by relatability, right? So then your audience might be more interested in the other things you have to sell as well. But the first step is to start by putting yourself as a leader, start by putting yourself as somebody that's a living and breathing example of somebody that, you know, has a lot to deal with, but manages everything without overwhelm, or even if overwhelm comes, you know how to deal with it, etc. So yeah, and then you can start giving it a try, just maybe giving reminders on Instagram stories, talking about the fact that you have this as well. Instagram stories is a lot more flexible because they disappear after 24 hours. So you could even have a highlight about that if you want. But yeah, don't make it the full focus of your account just yet. But start by using the relatability, positioning yourself as a leader in that regard, using your day-to-day life, your experiences, and then slowly you will attract more people like that. Is that okay?
It's perfect. Thank you.
Cool. This is so cool. Okay, I know it was the last question, but we can have another question. But okay, we had any more questions actually? Are we good? We're good? Cool. Oh, guys, thank you so much. That was so fun. And I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope I managed to answer everything. Yeah, cool. Reem, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. So happy to have you here. And just remember, like, experiment with your stories. Don't be afraid to post. Just always try to connect with your day. Bring it back to your core messaging, because then there's no mistake. And the more you do it, the better you will get. Always bringing it back. If you keep remembering, bring it back, that you will get so much better. Remember, I used to post cucumber pictures in the past. You cannot beat that. You cannot beat that. So thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And tomorrow I will have already this in our course if you want to review it. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.